Brandon, we made it to September, baby. You know what that means.
Grizz football.
Yes.
How about that game this weekend?
It's pretty good, man. Weather was good. The fans were rowdy.
Probably a long trip back to Butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather, though. Got a little bit of sun. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, some new faces on the field. I think it's going to be a fun season. Looking forward to what Coach Bobby and company put together.
Yeah.
Sounds like
solid.
we're got a lot of options at quarterback. And yeah, it's always great to start off the season with a W.
Yeah. Yeah, man. This is the summer. It's sad. Summer's coming to an end, but there's also this bittersweet September Grizz football. The town's buzzing. The college students are back. I love it.
Were you at the game?
Yeah.
Where do you sit? What area are you?
West side, 30-yard line, 4th row.
Oh, wow. I'm with the Rowdies. I'm up northeast corner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we get really loud up there.
Yeah.
Passionate about our Grizz football. But yeah, hey, we start off the W. It's a new week, new month.
Mhm.
We are heading into a new season here in Missoula. Politics, one of our favorite topics to not discuss all the time. Steve and I had a great idea a couple months ago to have all the candidates for mayor in Missoula come onto the show. And so we sat down the last couple of weeks and interviewed the 5 candidates. We are not endorsing any one candidate. The Missoula podcast is not promoting or endorsing any one of the candidates.
Nonpartisan. Maybe is that the right thing to say?
I don't know.
That's how bad we are at politics.
I have no clue. But what we wanted to do, and I think this was your idea, was have a episode where we allow the community of Missoula, our audience, our loyal listeners, to get to know the person behind the candidacy. You know, there's a lot of forums and debates and letters to the editor and articles written about these candidates and where they stand on all the political issues that we're all aware of. You know, homelessness, property taxes, cost of living, the list goes on. And we didn't want to get into that. We wanted to just get to know the person behind the candidacy.
Yeah. So we asked them all the same questions. We gave them all pretty much the same amount of time. And it was really fun. We got a great diversity in candidates, and they're all very different, but all very smart. And it was a good time. And so I'm excited for our listeners to get to know them a little bit better.
Yeah. It was an honor to sit down with all 5. I don't know how many people have had that opportunity to actually sit down and have a conversation with all 5.
And what was really cool, all these candidates love Missoula. I mean, it was very obvious with sitting down with them. They love this place. They want to serve this place.
If I recall, I think they all, on our rapid fire question segment, what do you love the most about Missoula, or what are your hobbies? They all have the same passions and hobbies. Like do. We are Missoulians, and that was really cool to see. So our first interview here is with the current mayor, Jordan Hess. The way we're going to roll these out here is completely random. We randomized the order of how we did the interviews, and then we re-randomized or the order here on this episode. But we're starting off with our current mayor, Jordan Hess. And Jordan was on city council, and city council nominated him or recommended him to take over the late John Engen's seat as mayor for the remainder of that term. And if I understand correctly, Stephen, state law was that if a mayor passes away, city council appoints a new mayor, and they are the acting mayor until the next state level election. So Jordan served a 14-month term, and now this upcoming election in November is for a 2-year term to fulfill Mayor Engen's term. And then in 2025, we will be returning to the 4-year term.
Yep.
So without further ado, again, we asked the same questions to all the candidates. We're not endorsing any one candidate, but this first interview is with current mayor Jordan Hess. What inspired you actually to pursue a career in public service and now a run for mayor?
Yeah, I came to Missoula in 2005 to attend the University of Montana, and I was studying geography and had some urban planning classes. And we were right about that time. The city was doing the first downtown master plan, and went to that for some coursework, and went to a couple of public meetings on this downtown master plan. And I just really fell for this idea that we could collectively plan our community. I mean, it just was this novel concept that we could get together and say, this is what we want our downtown, this is what we want our community to look like. So I got interested in transportation. I ended up having a career. Most of my career has been in public transportation, but just had this kind of real interest in land use and housing and transportation and the built environment, and that got me really interested in local government. So I applied for a vacant position on the city council in 2011. It's actually the same process that I had to go through just with after Mayor Engen passed away. I didn't get the appointment, but ended up running for city council in 2013 and was elected. First time to city council in 2013, and then I really came for those infrastructure issues and those planning issues, and I stayed for everything else. And I'll give you an example: is that wastewater is fascinating. And if you I think if you were to ask someone on the street about wastewater, they it
Yeah, I'm a
would,
little bit curious right
yeah.
now where you're going
I
with
I
this.
mean, it would just be a thing that happens out of sight, out of mind. But when you flush the toilet or dump something down the drain, it goes into this miles and miles, hundreds of miles of collection system. It goes to a plant that has anaerobic and aerobic biological processes to remove nutrients and to process the nutrients and process the waste in a biological process. Then it is sterilized with these really fancy UV lights. There's the solid sludges are augured into our compost facility, and they're composted with wood waste. And we used to just discharge the water, the treated effluent, directly into the Clark Fork River. And now instead of doing that, we're irrigating poplar trees and preventing that nutrient uptake in the river. And I say this because it's really complicated, and we're capturing methane to heat the plant, and we have solar panels on site,
Right.
and you never would have thought, I never would have thought that something as simple as the wastewater treatment plant could be such a fascinating thing. And every day in municipal government is a masterclass in something else, whether it's something like wastewater or something like homelessness
That
or
is super complex, and I'm sure you have to know a little bit about a lot of different things when you're in government.
and that's the thing I love about it is you learn something new every day, and it's just fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but was there any specific scenario or personal story that has shaped your vision of what you're trying to do as
You
the
know what?
mayor?
I think just living in Missoula we're a community that really cares about people and cares about place. And I was in 2021. I was toying with whether or not to run for a third term on the city council. My partner and I had been longtime renters, and we were watching housing prices go up around us. And we actually were able to buy our first home, the home that we live in now, during the pandemic, in November of 2020. And we bought it from the former landlords. So we live in the house that we used to rent. They really wanted to sell it to us. They were they cut us a deal. They worked with us, and it was still a huge stretch for us. And I thought, man, if this is in a position of relative privilege with multiple incomes, and we had a roommate at the time, and I thought, if it's this hard for us, there are so many people in our community that are just being left behind. And that's been something, as we work on housing, that's been something that always sticks in my mind, is just how fortunate and privileged I've been, and how much I want to work to help out other people who
Yeah.
aren't in that situation.
Jordan, aside from your political role and being mayor, what are some of your hobbies or interests that you're most passionate about?
Yeah. Well, I don't really have any right now, but but normally I love to just get out and enjoy the outdoors in Montana. And my partner Catherine and I and our dog Nimby, we go out and camp and hike and just get out and
Yeah,
enjoy the outdoors.
it's
Uh,
fascinating. Steve and I, the episodes that we've had, just this episode with all the candidates for mayor, everybody seems to answer that question. Camping, hiking, the outdoors. I mean,
I
that's what
guess
makes
that's what
Missoula so
Missoulians
special.
do, huh?
That's who
I
we are.
and I like to we always have a big garden, and I like to garden and do yard work, but I really love to cook.
That's awesome.
That's
So how do you, yeah, you love cooking,
uh
all those things. And outside of campaign season, how do you balance the demands of, hey, being the mayor, being, a political figure? with your personal life,
Yeah.
relationships? Like, how do you find that balance?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a challenge during the campaign season, and I remember I met the mayor of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at a conference, and they asked all the mayors, what keeps you up at night, and she said, I work so hard that I have no trouble falling asleep at night, and I always kind of laugh at that, but the job is you just show up and do your best, and then show up the next day and do your best, and try to find balance. And I mean, and I think it's actually, we have such a good team doing such good work that it's actually outside of campaign season, it's actually so rewarding that it's it's more than a 9 to 5 job. It's kind of a
Yeah,
24/7 job, but but you just find time for yourself and prioritize that, and do your best, and the work is rewarding, and so it all kind of works.
that's awesome.
That's amazing, Jordan. Do you have a book or a quote, a philosophy that has had a huge impact and that you've taken as an approach to your
Mhm.
leadership style?
There's the late Senator Paul Wellstone, a former senator from Minnesota who died in a plane crash, gosh, a couple decades ago, really. He had a quote that he said, "We all do better when we all do better,"
Mm.
and I just thought that's always stuck with me. That if we can lift up, if we can lift up everyone in our community, if we can lift up our community, we all do better.
Yeah.
And that's a way that I really tried to live my life, and a way I've tried to serve in office, and I just think that's a real powerful philosophy.
I like that.
Solid. One of my favorite segments we do are our rapid fire questions. So number one, Jordan, what is your earliest memory of Missoula when you came here for school? What
Yeah.
stood out to you?
Well, I actually came here before then, and we had family friends who managed an apartment complex up on the South Hills, up in the South Hills, and they used to take us to the Oxford for breakfast, and so I remember that. But one of the first times that that when I came here for school, I remember I was walking across it was the Higgins Avenue Bridge, now the Bear Tracks Bridge, but and I'd been here a couple days. I was living in the dorms, and I was kind of lonely, and I was walking downtown, and I passed this couple that was really friendly and said hi on the way across the bridge. And it used to have those narrow little
Mhm.
sidewalks where
Yeah.
you had to like scooch behind someone, and had a just fun little interaction. And then I was downtown for a bit, and then on the way back, I passed him going the other direction, and I don't know what it was about that interaction, but it always stuck in my mind as like this marker of the sense of community that we have
Yeah.
here, and just how friendly people are here, and how strangers say hi to each other. And I grew up in Helena, and Helena's a friendly place too, and I think that's a Montana thing, but there was just something about that interaction on the
That's
bridge that
awesome.
day that
That's
was.
great. Yeah, that old bridge, that old sidewalk. I mean, there were some awkward encounters
Yeah.
trying to get
Yeah.
around people, and especially the events like parades, marathons,
Yeah.
just packed on that sidewalk. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I like the new version of the bridge
yeah,
a
it's,
lot
Yeah.
more, but
it's great.
nostalgic.
Jordan, what's your favorite coffee shop?
I am a Clyde coffee enthusiast.
Ooh.
That's my favorite for
Solid,
sure.
good coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite restaurant here in Missoula?
Oh, that's a tough one, but I'm gonna say today I'm gonna say Masala. That's one of my favorite lunch places, and I love I just love the people there, and
Well,
great
that's a
food.
quick walk
Yeah, I
from
was
the
just saying,
courthouse.
Yeah.
walking distance from
Yeah,
your office.
exactly.
Jordan, what zip code do you live in?
I am 59802. I'm over on the
59802.
west side by kind of by Draftworks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good spot to be. One of our favorite bumper stickers that we see around, and everybody says it, keep Missoula weird. And Missoula is a weird place.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest thing about Missoula to you?
Oh, everything. I mean, there's all sorts of
I love
weird
it.
things.
Everything from the mayor's mouth, ladies and gentlemen. Everything.
Yeah, all you out there. That's a hard one because there's so much. But I think we have all these great events, and they're always there's always something quirky going on in Caris Park, or an art walk, or something that and that just the event, the culture of all these events, I think are just really unique and really really quintessentially Missoula.
Yeah, it is. Um, on the tail end of that, what do you love the most about Missoula?
I guess I'm gonna go back to people and place, but I think a great day is going downtown, going to the farmers market, seeing friends, maybe going on a hike or going on the river. We just have this friendly culture where and you always bump into someone, and it's always you always have these touches of community, And I think that a lazy Saturday in Missoula is my favorite thing about Missoula.
Yeah, specifically in the summer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, and even the fall. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
the fall,
just,
yeah.
Grizz football's coming back and
Mhm.
just it's just fun. Grab
Yeah.
that coffee, walk down the streets of downtown or Missoula.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
fall
yeah,
in Missoula you can't beat,
it's
um,
and it's coming quick.
yeah.
It's coming up.
Uh, Last question, Jordan, and thank you so much. You've been awesome. Yeah, why do you believe Missoula should vote for you and continue as the mayor?
Yeah. Well, I think I've been in local government for 10 years, and it's complicated work. It is challenging. It requires a steady hand, and I think I've demonstrated that I can do the job, and I think experience matters.
Jordan, I'm so appreciative of you taking time out. I know you are busy as the mayor. You're on a campaign. You like to get out and hike on occasion. But just thank you for taking a little bit of time from your busy schedule just to come in and meet with us. And I just honestly appreciate you and your servitude towards our community
Yeah,
and goal and desire to make it a better place because that impacts me and Steven and our families and our kids and just appreciate your leadership.
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's my pleasure. It's a really rewarding, fun line of work, and it's great to be on the show.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for being here.
Best of luck, Jordan.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Steven, one of the things I really appreciated with Mayor Jordan Hess was just his genuine heart for Missoula and our community.
Yeah, that's been a common theme for all these people. And as we transition to our next interview with Andrea Davis, she's got an incredible heart for Missoula as well. She's the executive director of Homeward. And take a listen. What inspired you to pursue a career in public service and run for mayor?
Well, I think I'm made for it. I was reflecting on this a bit, and starting back with being a University of Montana student, I got a degree in organizational communications and environmental studies. And my advisor asked me, "What are you going to do with that degree?" And I said, "I'm going to change business from the inside out because I want to help create a more sustainable economy and society." I was just also reflecting recently about this book, 50 Things That You Can Do to Save the Planet. And I was thinking about it because I got the book when I was in seventh grade. So I was 12 years old. My earth science teacher had us buy this book as our guidebook for Earth Day. And I was thinking about it after the Held versus Montana case was won, and these 16 Montana um, youths won the court case that they did, and how significant that is for all of us as Montanans and really for the world in a lot of ways. So I have dedicated my whole career to strengthening community, and I just want to be of use. And I find that that is so rewarding. We can really tap into human ingenuity and creativity and build community at the same time. And so that's what's drawn me to it.
I love that. Uh, Piggyback on that, do you have a personal story or an experience that really shaped your vision for the city of Missoula and its future? Like something close to home that has really why you're doing what you're doing. What
Yeah.
experience?
You know what I think about? I think about growing up in Kalispell, Montana. And I grew up with working class parents. My mom was a union waitress, and my dad was a ceramicist. So he worked at home. He's a potter, and he had an at home
That's
studio. And so we had an affordable home. We had an affordable rental home that we lived in. And so I was able to ride my bike to school and to friends' house, and I knew all my neighbors, and we grew a garden in the backyard. And I I realized just how strong of a community that we had, and I accessed good quality public education. And that includes graduating from high school in Kalispell, and then graduating from Flathead Valley Community College, and then transferring down here to the university, and again graduating from a public school. And that kind of background has enabled me to have an incredibly successful life, and I want that for all Missoulians.
Beautiful. Aside from politics, what are some of your hobbies or interests that you're passionate about?
Yeah, largely the outdoors. So I love to boat, both whitewater rafting and get the sup out there and do flat water, and canoe. I love to hike and bike, both street riding, and then I love to mountain bike as well.
What are some of your favorite trails in the Missoula area?
I would say that my go-to is probably Patty Canyon.
Yeah.
We live in central Missoula, so Patty Canyon's easy for me to get up to. And it's shaded most of the time. So
It is.
I do love it up there.
There's snow up there most of the time.
Yeah. And then, of course, I love to camp and do all that stuff. I love to garden and I love to cook food. And that is kind of on hold this year because, running for the mayor of Missoula has been my primary hobby at this point. But I realize that I'll be able to get back to this eventually at some point.
Great. Andrea, how do you balance the demands of your political campaign with personal life, relationships? How do you manage that?
That's a really good question. It's a challenge. I will say, I also still have a full-time position as the executive director of Homeward, and that is a very rewarding and demanding career as it has been for the 15 years I've been executive director. So my partner, my spouse, and I have been very intentional about how we try to balance our home life versus running this campaign. And we have to correct and continue, as you can imagine.
It's a work in progress.
That's right. It's a work in progress. So finding little times like during breakfast, right? We joke around that I need to leave my computer, to the side and my phone to the side. The balance, honestly, if I can squeeze in a little jog with my dog in the morning and then 10 minutes of yoga, I feel like that's a good day. And I really am trying to do that. Even if it's a 5-minute quiet time, sit down, reflection, little meditation, it's really important.
Yeah. Good for you. I mean, I'm not running for political office and I still find it difficult to be that consistent in the gym or working out each morning or finding that downtime. So
yeah, life is busy.
How about a book, quote, or philosophy that has had a profound impact on your approach to leadership?
Yeah, I actually brought it with me.
Awesome.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Here's why, because I went to a really great shop downtown Missoula yesterday and I bought this journal and it was on the cover. And I thought the timing of your question was so perfect. So the first quote is, "What you do makes a difference. And you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." And that's Jane Goodall, which of course is somebody that is just, a matriarch in our society and legend. Somebody that, legend. Exactly. The other one I have to say has been one of my favorite quotes for a long time. It's, "I get up every morning determined to both change the world and have one hell of a good time. Sometimes this makes planning my day difficult." E.B. White.
That seems applicable for your personality.
Right?
That's amazing. Wonderful. All right. Well, we do this segment with all of our guests. It's called our rapid fire Missoula questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I think so.
What is your earliest memory of Missoula?
Man, I thought it was going to be North Reserve too, but now I remember that it was with my best friend growing up and her grandparents lived in Missoula. So we came down from Kalispell to Missoula and I remember walking down Higgins and shopping at a thrift store that was along Higgins. And we were probably 8 years old.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Lots changed downtown.
Exactly.
5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, thinking back to my childhood as well.
Yeah. And they had a house on Pine and Madison.
Okay.
And so the house is still there. And my best friend that I grew up with in the Flathead, she lives outside of Washington, D.C. But she came to see me here in Missoula in May and had some time on her hands and actually walked from my house here in central Missoula and found her grandparents' old house and took photos. And it was a really special moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a cool memory.
Yeah.
That area largely is probably the least changed. All the old houses in that central Missoula area, which is really cool.
Yeah.
It's a really sweet spot in town. Next one. What is your favorite coffee shop?
Okay, this sounds silly because, I know I shouldn't be naming a shop, but it's in my kitchen. My husband makes the best cup of coffee ever. And then this is hard. There's a lot of really good ones out there. This is kind of funny, but because sometimes I have to slip out and take time from my day job to meet with somebody with the campaign, there's this little coffee shop that you can barely find called Lighthouse Espresso. And they're literally behind the Greyhound bus depot. They make an excellent cappuccino.
That's good to know.
Solid.
First time we forgot that.
I know it's the first time we've got Lighthouse. Shout out to Lighthouse. We need to go check that one out. Steven. What is your favorite restaurant in Missoula?
Oh, that is really hard. That's a hard one. Yeah.
Got some good food here.
It's changed over time. I have to say that I was having lunch today in Pangea downtown, and that has really been one of my go-tos ever since they opened. And they opened like during the pandemic, which then was a real kind of secret. I mean, to me.
Yeah.
And then of course, what's even a better secret is the Stave and Hoop downstairs, of course.
That's
a sweet spot.
the Missoula's best kept secret. Just my wife and I this weekend were talking about Missoula's true speakeasy and how difficult it is to get to. And yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But the food downtown, you can walk down Higgins, and there are so many quality options for food right now. Love it.
Yeah, we're lucky.
You mentioned you live in central Missoula. One of our favorite questions. What zip code do you live in?
59801.
59801. The original.
One of our favorite bumper stickers is Keep Missoula Weird.
Yeah.
What is the weirdest thing about Missoula to you?
I was actually really thinking about this. I love it too. I honestly, canvassing Missoula, I would encourage you to cruise around town in our historic neighborhoods. Some of the weirdest parts of Missoula are found in people's yards. There is just some really cool stuff here and there. The other thing that I would say, as far as one of the weirdest things in Missoula that I absolutely love, is the Dino Cafe in the back of Charlie B's, which of course is at the corner of Space and Time. And to me, having a place where there's no sign out front, but everybody knows where it is, that is something that is a legendary place. And that's one of the weirdest things. And at the end of the day, one of the weirdest things is the story behind how the slant streets became the slant streets.
Like you mentioned the randomness of objects in people's yard. I can immediately think of multiple, but the one I want to know the story of Stephen Street. There's an airplane in their front yard.
Oh my God. I know the person.
Do you?
Yes. Do you want to know a weird story?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. His dad is my husband's aunt's husband.
Kind of
from Maryland.
Okay.
From Maryland. So no, this is back full circle. Just recently we had somebody visiting us, so we brought him into Charlie B's because you have to see Missoula. And who's sitting there? And when he realized who we were, and he realized that I was running for mayor, he said, "Well, I have a question for you. Are you going to let me keep my plane in my front yard?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And he's supported our campaign ever since.
That's amazing. I love it. What do you love the most about Missoula?
Why do you have to ask such hard questions? Honestly, it's the people.
Yeah.
We have an amazing culture in Missoula, and that's because of the people here. And it's just, the environment, and of course, all of the things that make up our gorgeous community with, arts and music and the funk. But it's the people here. We have people in Missoula with like their feet on the ground, but this really worldly aspect to them. And it's a really special place.
Last question. Why do you believe Missoula should vote for you?
Oh, thank you for that question. I think that I offer a fresh perspective for our city government. And while I deeply respect the other candidates and think that they also have a lot to offer and have contributed a lot to our community, I have a level of expertise in one of the issues that is most salient and dire for our community, which is homes that Missoulians can afford, and leadership perspective after having been an executive director for 15 years. And I think that is a particular skill set that benefits the mayoral office. In addition, I have done quite a bit of work at the state legislature and have relationships with legislators on both sides of the aisle, including the governor's office. And that's why 9 current and past legislators are endorsing my campaign. And so I think between my experience, my relationships, leadership, and positive leadership, I think that I'm the right candidate at the right time.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I mean, no doubt you're a phenomenal leader, and your 15 years at Homeward, speak volumes of the leader that you are. And I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, the middle of a campaign, just to come into a studio with just 2 guys trying to, impact our community and, like you are. And so thank you for taking a stand for Missoula and loving our community and people. And we'll continue doing the same.
It takes all of us. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Amazing interview with Andrea. So well spoken, so passionate, and really appreciated her heart for this city. Now to our next interview.
Next up, we have Mike Nugent. Mike is all over Missoula. He volunteers with several organizations. He works at Berkshire Hathaway, and he is currently on city council, city councilman, and again, just another great heart and passionate about our community and the people of Missoula. Here's Mike.
What inspired you to pursue a career in public service and run for mayor?
I've been involved in this community my whole life. I'm born and raised here. I work here. I'm in volunteer in the community, and I ran for city council 2 years ago and got elected with the idea that we're not talking about housing in a truly serious way, and that's one of the biggest issues facing Missoula right now. I'm running for mayor primarily because this community has given me so many opportunities to grow up, to embrace all that we have to offer, to live, to work. And I don't think my kids are going to have the same opportunities that I've had. I'm raising two great kids. My wife and I are both from Missoula. And I think more and more Missoula is becoming unaffordable for people, for everyday people. And that's true for my kids, but that's also true for a lot of the people that make Missoula great. People who work in the service industry, young teachers, firefighters, police officers. And so I think that when we talk about housing, it can't just be about subsidized housing. It can't just be high-end housing. We need to find solutions across the spectrum. And I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to bring that kind of perspective to this conversation because I've seen it from the regulatory side now on council. I've seen it from the private side because I work in the housing industry. I've seen it from the nonprofit side as I was a commissioner on the Missoula Housing Authority, which oversees a lot of public housing in Missoula. So I've kind of seen it from all angles, which is something that nobody else in this race can offer.
I love that perspective just as a father myself, being born and raised in Missoula, now seeing my kids and future opportunity, how it could be very different from mine. And so I love that approach. Mike, do you have a personal story or experience that has shaped your vision for the city and the future of Missoula?
Um, I have a couple, and one of them, I talked about working in the housing world, and a lot of people when they think about housing, they think, oh, people who sell their homes are doing really well right now, and yeah, values have gone up. But the flip side of that is people have to buy those homes, and I mentioned that I've involved in a lot of nonprofits, and one of the nonprofits that I've led, we have had an employee who needed a place to live. And her husband both are well-employed Missoulians. Their combined income is well above any threshold that would ever qualify for a subsidy. They just have good jobs and they wanted to buy a house. And it took over a year and 13 chances before they were able to find something. Mm-hmm. And to me, that just kind of illustrates that I think we're failing as a community if the people who work here, that kind of middle class, if you will, never going to qualify for a subsidy, but don't have $500,000 sitting in the bank to make a down payment, can't afford to live here. And that's who I'm fighting for. And I think that we kind of need to be intentional across the spectrum. But there's one I could tell you other stories, but I know we got a time limit here.
Yeah.
So
and those stories, you hear about them all the time. I had coffee with the guy this morning and talking about a very similar situation for them. Like you hear those stories all the time in Missoula. So piggybacking on that, aside from your political role, the associations you're a part of, what are some of Mike's hobbies or personal interests outside of politics and business?
I wish I had time for hobbies and personal interests. My wife would tell you nothing. But actually we're big outdoors people. We love to camp, to get out of town, to kind of take in all that, that Western Montana has to offer.
Yeah.
I've as an adult, I've had a goal to camp 30 nights every year, which is a huge goal.
Yeah.
Haven't come anywhere near it this year. So the life lesson is don't run for mayor if you like to go camping.
Are you a tent camper, like fifth wheel? What do you guys?
At this point in my life, we are a trailer camping family. I've got a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old, and life just became easier with the trailer. But that's
awesome.
We've done it all.
Where's the Nugent's go-to spot? Where do you guys like to camp?
I love Flathead, love Lake Marironan, have family up in the Sealy area. Love Glacier. So we kind of try and get around there.
I don't know that there's a bad spot in the area.
And outside of that, like I love watching my kids participate in things in the community. I've coached youth sports when I can. I have a great group of dads that they kind of let me come and go because being on city council, I don't necessarily have time to be a head coach of anything,
Right.
but I think that being involved in the community and doing things that not only help my kid but help other children have opportunities to kind of learn life lessons and play and have fun. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
And so, I enjoy doing that.
How old are your kids?
My son is 10, and my daughter is 5. So starting kindergarten
That's
next
awesome.
week.
So fun.
Man, busy time of year, obviously, and you've been in city council for the last couple. Has there been any way that you've been able to establish some balance in your political life and your family life? And what have you been able to do and how have you been able to do that?
You know, running for mayor has kind of thrown all the balance off the plate. But I think that in my life, I've always just tackled challenges as like I fit them into my day, and you've got to get things done, and you just kind of figure out ways to do that. And so, running for city council, and then getting elected to city council, and now running for mayor, you just recognize that there are things you want to be involved in. There are people that want to have an opportunity to tell you their hopes and their concerns and all the above about Missoula. And you just make time. You fit that in. So maybe it's a coffee early morning. I was up and out of the house at 6 this morning so that I could meet with people before work. Fit in lunches, kind of find things as it works. But we also try and be very available on social media and kind of non-traditional
Yeah.
or maybe non-traditional public figure places, because I kind of take the approach, if someone has a question, they should ask. And, if you comment on something on social media and you don't hear from us, like that's maybe not the best way, message us, email us, call us, because we want to be approachable.
Yeah. Uh, fifth question for you here that I think can be a difficult question. I think there's a lot of answers to this, but is there a specific book, a quote, or a philosophy that's had an impact on your approach to leadership?
Boy, I don't know, like a narrow down on a quote, but as far as philosophy goes, I'm a big believer that if we give people the opportunity to work hard and do well, we all do better. And I think that people are proud of success. They're proud of having the opportunity to do things. And I think that in public, but also in my professional life, where I've mentored hundreds of people and been the boss and led a company and stuff like that, I think that the philosophy in my mind has always been, you go where you're needed. You need to make sure that you uh, work hard, train hard, put the right people in the right places, and then get out of the way.
Yeah.
Because I don't think leadership is about micromanaging. I don't think leadership is trying to get too far into the weeds. I think leadership is understanding and recognizing that we we have an opportunity, and that takes the collective we.
Yeah.
There's no one person that's solving any problem facing Missoula. And so my approach to that has always kind of been, let's not be afraid of any challenge. Let's see it as an opportunity, and let's be open, let's be transparent, let's communicate well, and let's try and tackle these things.
That's a phenomenal approach, in my opinion. I mean, and seeing you lead by example with the number of nonprofits you're involved in and other leadership roles where you're just a public servant. I think that's a great style of leadership, especially when you're stepping into a government role.
Yeah.
But
Lots of things to do, and trying to do it all on your own is not going to work.
It's not going to work. And I will tell you, like, being involved in this community is so rewarding, and you both know it. I mean, there are so many good things happening in Missoula.
Yeah.
And one of the great kind of experiences running for mayor is so many people in Missoula know what they're working on, but they don't know what other people are working on. So there's like these silos of, who knows what, and kind of helping like make connections and be like, hey, you're telling me all about this great idea. Have you met so and so? Because they reached out to me about a month ago and told me about this project they're working on, and it is exciting, and you could help with that.
Yeah.
And I actually think that's the role of a mayor in a town like Missoula, is to kind of help bring people together. The power to convene and to get people at the table to try and solve problems is it's rewarding. And so being on these boards and being involved in all the different angles of Missoula has just been great. And I would encourage people to go out and find something that fits their passion and get involved.
should we go there?
Yeah, well, those were the easy questions, Mike. So now we're going to hit you with the hard hitting questions.
Let's go. Rapid fire time.
Okay. Do I think either of you should run for city council? Not if you want to keep family balance. All right. What else?
What is your earliest memory of Missoula?
Earliest memory of Missoula. One of my favorite memories of Missoula is my father is a public servant. He worked for the city for a long time. And we lived kind of over on the south. We lived on the south side of town growing up. And we would ride the bus, the Mountain Lion, downtown with him every day. And I'm an identical twin. Oh. So here would be my father with two like 4-year-old twin boys. Like the bus would wait and we'd get on the bus and then we'd be running to daycare. And I just remember like, it all seemed normal, but now, it's like I have kids. I'm like, oh my word. Like I can't imagine having twins, much less we were number 4 and number 5. So my parents had a lot of kids. But just kind of like the great opportunities the community offered us. But what's really cool is somebody reached out on our social media last week, and it was a bus driver from when my dad would take us to preschool downtown, 35 years ago.
That's wild.
And he was just like, I'm so proud of you and how far you've come. And I'm like, what a small little world Missoula is.
How do we know we're actually talking to Mike right now and this isn't the identical twin helping with the campaign?
Well,
that's how you're getting so much done.
I'll tell you, when my brother moved back to town, I was kind of an established professional. I said, look, if people say hello to you on the street, you need to smile and say hi back. Don't just take your, because they think you're me.
That's funny.
Now it's like, I have less hair and I'm a little bit bigger. So you can tell us apart. Okay,
but, what's your favorite coffee shop or go-to coffee place in Missoula?
Oh, man.
You need to get that caffeine going.
Anywhere anybody wants to meet, I'm generally at. Can be on Higgins and South there is kind of like my office away from my office, just because that's in the middle of Ward 4, which is the council I represent, or the ward I represent on city council. And it's just a good place to go. But man, I can be all over. I probably could do a coffee shop blog about Missoula at this point. Coffees and tap houses, and probably the other candidates could as well, because, people like to meet at coffee shops.
In terms of food, what's your favorite restaurant?
Oh boy. For a steak, I really like 1889.
Solid.
I like Sakatumi, even though I'm not a big sushi guy. But downstairs, the ramen bar there, I'm a big fan of that. Awesome. My wife and I co-own Paradise Falls, so I probably need to give a plug for my wife. They work hard there, and I like eating breakfast there. So there you go.
There you go. That's what I expected your answer to be, quite honestly. So, Mike, what zip code do you live in?
I live in 59801.
59801.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me that question?
Because Missoula Podcast, we just keep track of where our guests are from and community, and just
because I think it's a great question.
Just curious, like you see all this advertising like 406
Yep.
T-shirts 406.
Yep.
So thought it would be a cool idea of, hey, what if we have the opportunity to make zip code something people take pride in?
I think it's a great question. I'll tell you a little story, which may be too far into the weeds, but I kind of think, as I've been on council for the last 2 years, I sometimes worry that city council lives in a bubble. And like the people who are on council aren't necessarily representative of the cross section of Missoula, because city council is kind of hard to fit into your schedule. It's like you get a little stipend, but it's like you got to give up your Monday nights and your Wednesdays. And so there's all kinds of jobs where people can't do that. But sometimes it feels like the more heavily involved neighborhoods are like the Rattlesnake neighborhood and the University neighborhood. And my brother-in-law is a big data nerd. So, when you're running a campaign, you have to turn in your campaign finance reports to the state. You can download all the donors to everybody's campaign. And he did this heat map of where my donors in Missoula are from. And mine are stretched all across all the neighborhoods of Missoula in a way that some of the other candidates aren't. And I'm really proud of that, because I think that we're trying to engage people from all over. So I know that that's not why you asked the question,
right?
But I love it, because like my point is, wherever you live in Missoula, whatever your zip code is, your voice is just as important as everybody else's. And like, we want you to participate in the process. And one of my goals is to make it more approachable. So you do.
It's great. Several zip codes, one community.
Yep.
Mike, one of our favorite bumper stickers that we see around town is "Keep Missoula Weird." Obviously, everybody knows this is a weird place at times. What's the weirdest thing about Missoula to you? Or maybe the weirdest thing that you love about Missoula?
Weirdest thing about Missoula. Well, from the outside, I think people might be shocked and they might say it's weird how much Missoula cares. I think Missoula is number 4 per capita for nonprofits in the entire country. So it's, there's just this whole sense of how much Missoula cares. But I think what I enjoy about the weirdness of Missoula is that it's a place where people can kind of come and be themselves. And, you know, having a university and having, a couple thousand new kids come every year and kind of bring their own experiences and their own culture and their own, you know, traditions from where they come from, and kind of bringing that into Missoula I think it's so neat. And you'll hear people from other parts of the state kind of talk about, oh, Missoula's, weird.
Yeah.
But I think it's what makes it great. You can walk into a place and you're not just with people you grew up with.
And you may have just answered my last rapid fire question. What do you love most about Missoula?
It's the people.
It's the people.
I mean, growing up, I have all these great memories, riding my bike to the fair, doing MCT plays, going to Grizz games, doing all that. But I didn't really stop to think about like how great it is that this community does all that. And, as an adult, I kind of started to realize, well, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because we have so many people that care about Missoula and this place. And, you think anything neat that you see, it's because there's a group of people that are dedicated. You think about like the painted utility boxes at the stoplights.
Yeah.
That's the arts community. All these great things that make Missoula special are because people care so much. So I think that when you ask that question, I think it's the people.
Great answer. Well, last question of the day, Mike. Why do you believe Missoula should vote for you?
I said it a little bit earlier, but I think I bring a unique set of experiences that touch a wide array of the problems we're facing. I love Missoula and I've kind of talked about it, but we do have real challenges. I mean, it's expensive to live here. Property taxes are rising. We're trying to do so much as a local government, and we have to start asking questions on, can we balance these things? What are wants versus needs? Given my experience in the private sector, the public sector, the nonprofit sector, I've kind of seen that, when you don't raise enough money for a nonprofit, you have to make cuts. If revenue's down in the private sector, you got to change how you do things. If in our world, if we're not doing something well, a competitor is going to come in and, take that marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that we can kind of take those perspectives and add it to, my time on city council, where I've kind of seen how public budgeting works, how the public process works, kind of what our constraints are, and kind of take that everyday Missoula experience, that kind of, like I said, broad stretch across Missoula experience representing everybody, and try and just help make a difference in my hometown.
That's awesome, Mike. Well, thank you so much. I know you're a busy man, middle of a campaign and life and business and kids and a wife, but just appreciate you taking time to come in and have a brief conversation with Stephen and I.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Appreciate you.
You bet. Thanks so much for having me. This is great.
Mike Nugent is my type of guy. I mean, a blog about the coffee shops in Missoula. I would subscribe. I would read that. I'm a coffee snob, and so I'm all in on that. I think that's his best idea, is coffee blog from Missoula. But no, fun time interviewing Mike. Again, an amazing heart, and he's passionate about Missoula and its future.
Yeah. Next, we got Shawn Knopp, hardworking dude, very, very passionate about Missoula, invested in a lot of organizations helping the youth of our city. And I had a really fun time interviewing Shawn. Listen up. What inspired you to pursue a career in public service and run for mayor?
Just dumb luck, short straw. I saw a need. There's a lot of politicians out there that are, glad handing, and I just don't think they have the best intentions for Missoula. I see a lot of people that I do business with that are moving out of town because they can't afford the taxes. They're selling their homes that they've been in for 40 years because they can't afford to pay the taxes. And I see a lot of frivolous spending, and I just saw a need that we need somebody that has a little more common sense and a little more financial background rather than political.
Yeah. But do you have a personal story or an experience that helped shape your vision for the city and the future of Missoula?
Well, not any one particular. It's kind of a mash of a whole bunch of stories. I got kids that left because they can't afford to live here. I've got kids living in one of my rentals because they can't afford to buy a house. People moving out of state because they can't afford to live here anymore. And one of the biggest things I think is the polarization of the different people. It's gotten so far from the middle that I think we need somebody that's running down the middle to kind of pull things back and use a little more common sense and get away from these crazy outlying opinions.
Shawn, I know this is a busy season for you right now in the midst of a campaign, but do you have any other hobbies or passions that you're pursuing other than politics right now?
Well, I have a huge passion for kids. I volunteered for 20 years on boards of directors for little leagues, youth organizations. I coached Little League for over 20 years. I coached youth bowling for a few years. I love to bowl. Getting ready to start the new season here next week.
That's awesome. I have coached Little League for several years here in Missoula. In fact, it was out. My wife and I went to a concert out at Kettle House and saw you out there working, volunteering your time. But I have not yet bowled. It sounds like something I may need to pick up.
You may need to pick that up.
With all your hobbies and just the demands of a political campaign, how do you find balance between your personal life, your family, and this campaign?
If you ask my girlfriend, I haven't found balance yet. She loses out in this effort, and a lot of sleep deprivation. I'm still working 40 plus hours a week at my job and campaigning. I also was on the committee for our 40-year reunion from high school here at Hellgate. Now I'm helping with the bowling league getting it going. I mean,
you got a lot of irons in the fire.
I'm not an idle person.
Yeah.
I'm a workaholic. I find a need for something, I do it. If somebody needs my help, I drop my needs. My yard won't get mowed, but somebody's car gets fixed or somebody's window gets fixed. I also run a small business out of my shop, doing woodworking and sandblasting and stained glass. And
so, Shawn, do you have is there a book, quote, perhaps some sort of philosophy that has had an impact on your approach to leadership and business leadership?
Not really. It's just kind of a common sense approach. Just my lifestyle is my approach. You see a need, you solve it. Somebody needs help, you help them. Bring people together, have conversations. I graduated high school with John Engen. We didn't agree on a lot of politics, but at the same time, we could go have lunch, discuss politics. At the end of the day, shake hands, hug, and agree to be friends and agree to disagree. You don't see that today. People don't want to talk. If you're on this side of the fence and you're on this side of the fence, that's a big fence, if not a wall. Nobody talks. How are you going to solve anything that way?
Yeah, that's a lot of value in that. Of at the end of the day, being able to shake somebody's hand, give them a hug, and still respect the person. And
Absolutely,
it is
we're all
unfortunate
people.
that we don't.
We all have opinions. It doesn't mean we're all right or all wrong.
Yeah.
We need to find common ground.
Yeah.
We get one president and we move this way. We get another president, they reverse everything and move this way. We just go back and forth. We're not moving forward.
Yeah.
We need forward momentum.
Love that.
Side to side is backwards.
Side to side is backwards.
Yeah.
Shawn Knopp's quotable moment, campaign slogan. Side to side is backwards.
I'm going to use that on my wife.
There you go. See how that works out for you.
Yeah.
I don't want to be there when you do it. Leave my name out of it.
Okay, I will. Shawn, we do this with all of our guests on the Missoula podcast. It's called our rapid fire questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is your earliest memory of Missoula?
And this goes way back. You just
said
said 40, you said 40-year anniversary at Hellgate.
I just turned 58 years old, man. That's
a lot of early memories.
Jumping off of McClay's Bridge, both good and bad. I jumped off, had a lot of fun jumping off the bridge and swimming, but also have seen people get paralyzed jumping off the bridge.
I was gonna say, if you're mayor, you taking down the no jumping signs?
No,
Just kidding.
I wish I could.
How about when it comes to coffee? Do you have a favorite coffee shop in town?
I'm a Floco guy. However, I drink drip mostly now. I had someone do the financials on what I was spending on coffee a year, and it ended up being like $4,200 a year in coffee.
Dang.
And so,
I get
and then she added up the calories too, and I'm like, I got to stop this.
What's your favorite restaurant in town?
Boy, I'm very partial to the Depot's blackened prime rib.
Ooh.
Have you had that?
So I have had that.
That
I've
is
had that.
amazing.
When you go to the Depot, do you sit in the restaurant or do you like the Depot deck? Do you have a preference?
These days, it's whatever's available.
Whatever,
I mean, I like the dining room.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we'll have our company Christmas party out on the deck in that back little area. I'll take either one. My son used to cook there, so I used to get really good deals on food there. Ed's great. He runs a great ship there. So
Depot's solid.
Depot is solid.
I'm a big fan of, we've had the 406 pride and the marketing. I want to see more zip code pride in our community. So Shawn, what zip code do you live in?
59801.
59801 Central. Yeah, Shawn is Central.
Like 6-8 blocks from here.
Oh, nice.
I went to grade school at Jefferson Elementary.
Did you really?
I did.
Crazy.
Cool. Missoula's a weird place. You see the bumper stickers.
Keep it weird.
Keep it weird.
Keep it beard, depending on the one you see.
Yeah, both are good.
Yep.
What's the weirdest thing about Missoula to you?
Right now, politics. Just the diversity. I mean, there is every shape and form of person in this town, and I think that's what makes us great and weird.
Yeah. We are a very, very diverse community.
Yep.
Yeah, you see it all.
You definitely
Shawn,
do.
what do you love the most about Missoula?
Again, the diversity. I mean, it's a community that gets together. I'd like to see more community involvement in things, but I just love the people. Yeah. That's why I'm doing this.
Last question for you, Shawn.
Certainly ain't for me.
Just take the last couple minutes here and tell us, why do you believe Missoula should vote for Shawn Knopp?
I think I have the most straightforward, common sense approach to things. I have a strong leadership, which I think we're lacking right now. Fiscally responsible. I think we need to make this place more affordable. We can't keep going the way we're going. House taxes are going up in some instances 40% 11% last year, 10% this year, plus counties going up substantially. So, I mean, at that approach, my house taxes right now, if I was to retire today and had my house paid off, I'd still have to pay $800 a month to live there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
My first apartment here was $140 a month. The insulation sucked, so in the wintertime, my heating bill was more than my rent. But I just want to see this place affordable so that our residents can stay here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're just going to be another Los Angeles. Too much big money coming in here and changing our lives.
And I think that's great forward thinking for the generations to come, our kids, grandkids of,
they're not going to be here.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough. I moved away for a while and was fortunate enough to be able to come back, but it wasn't easy and it's harder all the time. The wages haven't kept up here.
Yeah. Shawn, we appreciate you joining the podcast.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, you're in a busy season
Yes.
between bowling, coffee, and running for mayor.
And I work in the construction business, so that's even better.
No, so thank you for taking time aside from your day, and just best of luck to you and your team on the rest of this campaign.
I appreciate it.
Alrighty, thanks, Shawn.
Thanks, guys.
As with all the candidates, thank you, Shawn, for loving this city and being invested in trying to make things better. Really cool. And now our next guest.
Last, but certainly not least, Brandi Atanasoff I had the opportunity to sit down with her. Stephen, you were away, and just another passionate campaigner, I guess, for mayor. Brandi, just so encouraging, so much energy, and just very passionate about the future of our community. And so without further ado, here's Brandi. What inspired you to pursue a career in public service and to run for mayor?
Well, I have been volunteering since I was probably about 22 and giving my time to the community on a pretty regular basis. And I like the feeling of giving to people on that level and being able to shape how they feel in the community when you do that. And so that has inspired me to run for office in public service. What pushed me is over the years, I have developed relationships with people um, just from doing community service that have struggled through some of the bumps we've experienced. And I just like to stand and make sure that someone is protecting the community that we're in, whether it's just having words or watching after the structures. So, yeah, just watching my peers living their lives over the last few years and wanting to make sure that they feel heard has pushed me to decide to put my hat in for public office.
Yeah.
But community service for me is usually a volunteer thing. It's the ways in which we give and the ways in which we,
Yeah.
contribute without needing to have money attached to
I
it.
appreciate that. Very, very admirable of you. Do you have a personal story or experience that has shaped your vision for Missoula and its future?
Yeah, I think that for me, just watching Missoula grow and being able to listen to the history of Missoula and the history of us all walking together has shaped it. But we are going through another transition as a city, and a lot of people have been around for the transitions. And when we walk together really well, um, we all thrive. And so, what shaped my decision is in my passion in this community is the desire to find ways to help everyone be happy and content and feel good in the community that we live in, no matter where they live or what their circumstances are.
Great answer. Aside from your political role, what are some of your hobbies or interests that you're most passionate about?
I like to find topics that we have not found ways to come come together on and find ways to broaden those conversations,
Mhm.
especially around conflict. I like to geek out on topics where conflict gets so great that we need new ways to address navigation. I study communication and I analyze the way in which it affects behaviors. This is what I like to do for fun. I also go hiking. I go hiking and I love watching my kids be the people that they are and watching them make their own choices and grow
That's
into
great.
themselves.
I was debating on whether or not asking you what conflicts you like to nerd out on, but we'll
Oh,
avoid that.
yes.
How about hiking? What's one of your favorite trails? Where do you like to hike around here?
So if I'm hiking alone, because I'm a female, I do like to go to the trails that are more frequented, like Blue Mountain and Mount Sentinel. If I'm hiking with a partner, I like to get up into a lake or get onto the top of a peak where no one
Yeah.
else is. So like some of my favorite trails are down in the Bitterroot where you end up at a lake, 3 to
Yeah.
5 miles in and you can just chill.
It's awesome. How do you balance the demands of a political campaign with your personal life and relationships?
Well, the people in my life, they're in my life because they work with me, like we all fit. So we flow together really well. running for office makes it so everything's underneath the spotlight, and so I have kind of a small circle that I maintain, and for it is stressful on a family and groups of people that are connected to people running for office, because there is the whole, like, people start talking and bringing things
And
up,
just
but
public exposure. I
it
mean,
is,
you're in
yeah,
the
it really
limelight.
is. So I think that for that's probably the biggest stress. And we spend a lot of time outdoors. My family, we just got a boat, so we're going boating. I consciously spend time connecting with my children with the time that I have with my children. And I connect with my partner with the time that I have with him. And that is how we maintain a great family, is by making sure that when we're together, we're doing things that connect us and
It's
help us
awesome.
grow.
Good for you. I know you're in the middle of a very busy season of life and election coming up. So good for you to balance that well and still make sure you guys get time together and get out and enjoy the outdoors. What's a book, perhaps a quote, or even a philosophy that has had a profound impact on your approach to leadership? We're going deep here.
We are. So I love this, like, so that's usually what I look at, is books like that. And I don't read them from front to back. I go inside and look for the meat and potatoes and then contemplate what the lesson is, because a lot of times a person's telling a lesson in 2, 3 sentences that they then expand for 5 chapters.
Mhm.
So I recently have been reading the book Human Action, and I think the guy's last name, I don't actually remember the guy's last name, but it was published, God, like 100 years ago. But it talks about how
Ludwig von Mises, is that it?
yes,
Human Action?
yes,
I did
yes.
not know that. I just looked it up. Just
So I love it because it's breaking down how we make choices and how we come together, and understanding behavior, basic human behavior. So, one of the things that stood out to me is that, in order for us to get to where we need to go, we have to be focusing on our goals.
Mhm.
Otherwise, our body is not lining up with the goal. So if you're not pointing at a direction, you're not going to think, I need to grab this degree or this certification, or I need to pick up food at the store because I want to cook, like, without having a destination
Right.
that you're pointing out, you won't successfully execute the steps that get you to where your goal is, whether that's, for Missoula housing, or, for personal goals, weight loss and eating right, like,
Yeah.
it expands everywhere.
Uh, Gonna transition here to one of my favorite segments that we do on the Missoula podcast. It's our rapid fire questions. So got just a couple of those, just quick answers are great. Brandi, what is your earliest memory of Missoula?
Oh, so I was born and raised here. My earliest memory, I feel like the fireworks show. If we're gonna choose something that
Yeah.
stands out, like the fireworks that were at Southgate Mall, and I hope we're getting them back. Like those, my family used to get together and watch the fireworks every single year, and the community always got together. It was
I
big.
love
You
that.
could feel it. Like they played the music beforehand.
Do you remember
It
the
shapes it.
fireworks at the fair
Yeah.
back
Yeah, yeah.
20, 25 years
There's
ago?
something about fireworks that just, it's like something that you can do that makes everybody happy, like you
Right.
turn on music and everybody's like, oh, what's this feeling? You throw out fireworks and everybody's like, oh, life has no problems. Everything is amazing
I
right
love it.
now.
Well, maybe that's the fix. Maybe Missoula, we just need fireworks every
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, I think so.
Brandi, what's your favorite coffee shop in Missoula?
Oh, I'm going to have to say The Break.
The Break.
I am definitely a big fan, and I've been going there since probably for 20 years now.
Solid
Yeah.
choice. How about restaurant? What's your go-to restaurant in Missoula?
Oh, that's a hard one. They change so much. You know what? I still like the home cooked food at Ruby's.
Ruby's.
Mm,
What zip code do you live in?
59803.
59803. Seems like we've had a lot of those lately. In Missoula, there's the saying, keep Missoula weird.
Yeah.
Perhaps you've seen the bumper sticker and the signs downtown. What to you is one of the weirdest things about Missoula?
Missoula is a place where we have alternative practitioners, we have energy healers, we've got sound therapy, we used to have the leprechaun that reminded that we all.
Yes.
The thing is
Tommy the leprechaun.
yes, everybody that is different, everybody that wants to just be authentic, they come here, and Missoula embraces everybody for who they are. And so I think the fact is that Missoulians are not afraid to be weird, because we have found that there is more beauty in the world when we have lots of color.
Love it. What do you love the most about Missoula?
I love the people here. I love the community. I love the people that have just moved here. I love the people that have been here for years and share the history. Um, I just love the way in which our community comes together, builds events, builds relationships through things like this. And I don't know, it's really a beautiful place.
Last question, Brandi. Why do you believe Missoula should vote for you?
So I am running for mayor to I want to offer more discussion on the use of TIF funds, and I want to offer access to more itemized looks at the budget and what we're spending. And I want to create some more platforms for the community to expand what they want to focus on as a community, so that we all consciously feel like we were heard at the table. And so if the community wants that, then my name is on the ticket. And if they don't, there are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people that are running with lots of great experience. So I'm just here to make sure people feel heard through this process and hold space.
I love it. Brandi, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, middle of campaign season, stopping by the Missoula podcast. Wish you the best of luck on the rest of your campaign, and just appreciate your love for our community.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, all of our mayoral candidates. That was a lot of fun getting to know the people behind the candidacy, and awesome to see their heart again from Missoula. Again, we're not promoting, we're not endorsing. We just wanted to give you, the audience, the opportunity to hear a little bit about them and to know them a little bit.
Right. If there's one of the candidates that really stood out to you, or you'd like to get to know more about them, check out their websites, their social following. There is a lot of media out there with where they stand on the political issues and how that impacts your life and our community. But yeah, total honor to sit down with each of them. So grateful they took time away from their campaign season to
they are busy people.
come meet with us. And so Missoula, get out and vote. Your future, your children's future, all is in the balance, in a sense, is all impacted by who our next mayor is and how they lead this amazing city.
Important dates: primaries will be September 12th, and then the general election will be November 7th. So your civic duty, get out and vote.